Hi, and welcome to Shop Talk with Jim and Ken. I'm Jim.
And I'm Ken.
Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is episode 17. We had a little pause, but we're back at it and we're making more Shop Talk videos. Today's topic, we're going to talk about Aviat's new operating system, AOS, that runs on our WTM platform and on our CTR router platform. So let's get right into it, Ken. What is this new operating system? What's it about? And when should someone want to upgrade? And let's see what the details are.
Okay, Jim. Now, thanks so much. Yeah, AOS is basically this combined software we're using on both our CTR series routers and on the WTM radio. It's actually a long-standing system on the CTR. We've been using it there for quite some time. It's become very mature. And we've decided to merge it into the WTM so that when we have to do development of new features, we only have to do it once, basically. They share a lot of the same capabilities. So basically, we're building that into one stream so that if we did have a bug or an issue or we want to add a feature, we only have to do that one time and it's released for the CTR and for the WTM. So this has been something we've been working on for quite some time, and I'm glad to see it happening now. The main features and differences for the WTM with the AOS system running is that you basically have significantly advanced networking features. That's primarily the difference. The radio now can do MPLS routing, for example. If you want to use the radio as a router, you can. There's license keys for different features, but that capability is built into the operating system. There's a nifty new feature that I do think a lot of our customers would be interested in, is basically a transparent bridging capability that we didn't have before. Previously, we'd use Q and Q tunnels, and now we have a different way of doing transparent bridging with in-band management on VLANs, which is
Oh,
kind of
well,
a
that'll
nice thing.
simplify things then. Yeah, for a lot of
Yeah, no
folks.
doubt. I think it's something we've been
Yeah.
wanting for quite some time. We've finally figured that out now that we have the networking features, right? So it's been a really good addition. To that next point, that's like, what should I be running and what should I do? I think that the real thing is the 211 code is very mature and it's very solid. We're up to 211.12 at the time of this recording, and we will continue to do bug fixes on the 211 release. We won't be doing any new feature releases on 211. All new feature releases will happen on AOS. So, going forward in the long-term view, most of our clients probably will want to have a strategy to moving forward with the AOS implementation, because eventually you'll want a feature and it might be available there, something like that. But 211 is very mature. AOS is a little bit newer for WTM, so there's sort of a choice there. That being said, if you receive a radio that has AOS on it, one of the most critical things you need to remember is AOS cannot be downgraded to 211. So the radio might let you load it into the secondary bank and try to load it, but it's not going to work, basically. So we're actually going to be doing a release so it'll keep you from even trying. But ultimately, don't downgrade an AOS to 211. That's if you learn anything from this video, that'll be the thing to remember. So then the question is, like, when should I upgrade? And this will really depend on what you want to do, like what you have in your system today, what you want going forward. There are differences between these, and the upgrade process from 211 to 6.0 actually does take a little bit of time. There's some nuances involved in that. We'll touch on that in a little bit. I think the main thing is that you want your radios to match at both ends. And if a
Yep.
radio's got AOS loaded on it when you received it, then you'll want both ends running AOS. So if they both happen to be running AOS on the way in out of the box, that's great. You're in good shape. If one of them's running 211, one of them's running AOS, you'll want to upgrade the 211 radio to do AOS. If they're
Gotcha.
both running 211 and that's the way they came out of the box, I personally think it's fine. You could leave it at 211. If you want to take a little bit of extra time, you want to get a little experience with AOS, you could upgrade it. By the way, if you do upgrade from 211 to AOS, you can downgrade back to 211. If the radio was born with 211, that's okay. But if it was born with AOS, it's not okay. So you can go back and forth in that respect. So just remember that, you could test it. You could try it if you have a little extra time. You could always
Yep.
go back if you wanted to. There are things that I think about our customers, like you might have an NMS system already running, SNMP system already running. That's going to be a little bit different with AOS than it was on the 211 branch. So, we understand you made an investment there. You might have a bunch of radios in your network running 211. Maybe having that homogeneous environment would be helpful for you. But again, I'm thinking, way down the road, sort of long term, you might be fine, but you're going to get new radios. If you're going to buy radios from us, say next year, more than likely, all the radios coming off the shelf are going to be running AOS. So
Uh,
eventually, you have to make that move, right?
Right. So today, what's coming from the factory? Are they coming with 211 or AOS or both?
Well,
You
we
know
should
that?
date this presentation. Today they're coming out with 211. We were running 211 up until I think maybe early in 2024. I started to see some AOS radios coming out, and then
Okay.
around April or so, we started seeing more of them because of some of the challenges we had, like perhaps in that downgrade upgrade process. And some clients not being aware, not reading the document that comes with it, which is really important. There's this upgrade document that's you need to follow the process, and we had a lot of challenges with that. Frankly, I don't think it was communicated very well, but I think a lot of people just assumed it would be just like everything else, and it isn't just like everything else. So with that in mind, we actually reverted back to 211 in the factory recently,
Okay.
around late May, I want to say 2024. All the radios that were being produced, came out with 211, and that's where we are today. But we will be switching back. This is inevitable. We're just trying to prep the code a little bit better, make it a little bit easier for our clients to do that transfer. My guess is in early 2025, maybe sooner, we'll have more AOS radios being produced, and at that point in time, you might not have a choice.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's really, and you can upgrade. You can, even if you get a 211 radio and you want to run AOS, you can get the code, you can downgrade it or upgrade it onto your radios. So you have a choice going forward. But today it's a little bit of a mixed bag because you might have a product that just came out of the factory. High radio just got built. The low radio has been sitting on the shelf for a couple of months. You might get a mix, right? So
Sure.
you still have to deal with that. And like I said, if you have a mix, you're going to need to upgrade the 211 radio to AOS so they match. That's
Yeah,
really
you
the
had
only
you had touched on that earlier about the upgrades, but I want to just reiterate it again. There is a document that comes and it's the upgrade document that lists all the step-by-step procedures. There's some extra things you need to do, some VLAN settings you have to prep ahead of time. Spanning trees got to be disabled ahead of time. Default gateway needs to be set properly and towards a device that's going to be on the network after the thing reboots itself. So there's just a number of details that's critical if you want it to be successful that you have to follow. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's kind of why we went through this process and ended up going backwards because people just weren't prepared for that. And
yeah,
there are some very important steps. So read the documentation. What do you say? For the first time, I mean, this radio has been pretty easy. You've always had, oh, just press this button and make it happen. In this case, there's some very specific documentation. You really do need to
yeah,
follow the process. The things Jim mentioned. Another thing is that the radio is supposed to only do this with an automatic upgrade, and most of our clients typically will upgrade the code into the secondary bank, make sure it got there, and then do the upgrade from the secondary bank to the primary bank. In this case, you need to do it in one shot where you're telling the radio, here comes the code and upgrade automatically. Yeah, the default gateway has been really critical. You have to have something in that. You have to have a reachable IP address basically from the
yeah.
radio through that process. You also have to stay connected to it through the whole upgrade process. And we've had clients in the past who, you basically press a button on one and then go to the next radio and press a button on the radio and go to the next radio and press on that. Well, you can't do that here. You have to stay on one radio, get it finished, and then move to the next one. It's
Yeah,
a it's a complete kernel change for the radio's operating system. So there's a lot going on here. It's not hard, but you have to follow the process.
right. And not only that, I want to mention, so just last week, I upgraded a set of radios in my lab here. I followed all the procedures. It is time consuming. Each radio, plan on like at least an hour, hour and 20 minutes for the whole process between the flashing and the rebooting and the waiting for it to finally do its last validation back up to that default gateway. Before it's fully ready to go, it's like an hour, hour and 20 minutes per
Uh,
radio. So you got to have that time budget available to you.
yeah, and keep in mind a lot of this is waiting time, right? So
Yeah, it's all
it's not
waiting
like
time. Yeah,
you're completely locked out from doing anything else. But
yeah,
you need to have basically your dedicated connected computer to the radio during that process, and that's a good point.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I've seen maybe a 40 minutes. So I'm not trying to argue with you,
Okay.
but I've seen
Yeah,
some
yeah,
get done within about 40 minutes time. But I've also seen them take about an hour.
yeah.
So I think that it's a wise thing to know. This is not going to be something that you're going to do in 5 minutes or even 10 or
Right.
15 minutes. This will take a
Yeah,
little bit of time if you are doing the upgrade.
yeah.
And I mentioned it briefly, real quick here, but it does, it's a new operating system, so it has a new MIB. So if you are doing SNMP integration, you'll need the new MIB. You'll need to integrate the MIB with the new variables.
Right.
We can support you with that. If you are doing those kinds of things, then you'll have to prepare for that as well.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, thanks for all the information. Hopefully this is helpful to you guys about what this new AOS is about and making some choices about when you want to upgrade. As Ken and I both said, now's a good time to maybe if you've got some in your lab, some radios, go ahead and upgrade so you can start getting familiar with it, because come next year, that's probably all it's going to ship from the factory will be our AOS version. So it's coming. We got a little bit of time to get ready for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks. See you on
Thanks
the
so
next.
much. See you next time.
Yeah. Bye-bye.